Hello everybody, this is Troll Force after a long-awaited disappearance with a continuation of Penumbra Black Plague Explained. We are going to cover all that you need to know about the residential corridor, storage room, computer room, machine room, and the infirmary. Now let's get into this video. Before I go any further, I need to let you know that many of these videos before the ending of the machine room have massive lag spikes due to the technical issues with my computer and my recording softwares. I fixed it all now, so enjoy. You crawl out of the sewer into one of the scientist's room. This is another cooldown from all the chaos earlier, which prepares you to get another pair of pants to shit in the next time. When you look around the room, there's a cheap cop-out broken mirror where you can't see yourself in first person, probably because of the engines and capabilities or something stupid and cliche. There's no running water and very limited electricity in this room, and the toilet paper is replaced with newspaper. In the next room there's a broken TV on the ground and a painting of a chain of several islands and people on boats. Kind of foreshadowing the future, I suppose. Also, there's a power box with only one fuse which can only power the lights in the bathroom, the bedroom, and the computer. When the computer is powered on with the fastest reboot you'll ever see, someone calls through the computer and this person is Emma Bell Swanson. She walks you through of what's happening about the Turnget virus spreading throughout the entire facility, the mines, and the surface to an extent, as mentioned in her note found in the underground lake in Penumbra Overture.
Wow, you look like you've crawled through a sewer to get here. I suppose I'm flattered. Hi, I'm Amabel Swanson, and I suppose I'll be your guide for the day. Hello? Can you hear me? I think the transmission's only one way. I've got a webcam. Pull a silly face if you can hear me. Oh, very attractive. Okay, we're on. There's some things you need to know.
Sure. Whatever you say, lady.
We released a virus. It wiped us out. 3 weeks ago, we tried to get out through the mines, but it didn't work the way we'd planned. I think one of the Inuit workers made it, but others were taken. Some panicked and got lost. I ran. And when I stopped, I was on my own. Oh, and another symptom is déjà vu. The only chance we have is a man called Howard. He said he'd found a solution to the virus. His vitals last registered in the library, but only members of the organization have access. I'm still seeing a few life signs in the residential quarter. You need to find a survivor and get through into the library. Oh, and look out for our medical guy, Richard Eminis. He was acting strangely when I last saw him. What else don't you know? Let's see. Watch out for signs of infection.
Present and accounted for.
Did you say something? Look, the symptoms we know about are paranoia and oral distortion. Oh, and another symptom is déjà vu.
Enough already. My sides are splitting.
Well, I think that's everything you need to know. I'm sending over some research on the virus, and I'll get some doors open for you. Maybe now we can shoot the shit.
She said that they tried to escape through the mines 3 weeks prior, and I've made a theory about that in an earlier video on my channel. If you find it for me, I'll give you a cookie. She also mentions that one of the Inuit workers made it. It could be referencing the Spider Hatter in Overture before he was killed by a hunter, but we'll get more into that later. Other workers were taken, supposedly transformed by the virus. Some parents, like Dr. Eminis and M. Bell, she was alone after all the chaos. We now have solid evidence of where Howard, Philip's father, is located, and he's not too far off. The research notes go over exactly what Philip has gone through in the sewers, confirming once more that he's infected and doesn't have much time left. Unlike the others, he hasn't been completely consumed by the dark influence in the mental realm. I believe that with how powerful the Turnget are, each of them creates a pocket dimension within the minds of their host to test out their will and strength before killing or completely possessing their bodies.
If we must continue to share this brain space, I think I should have a name. Strange. So rare an opportunity to select one's own nomenclature, and yet I find myself at a loss. Any ideas, monkey? much storage in this mind of yours. Did you realize you got an entire section in here devoted to film titles? 3,103 and a half films you've seen? You only got the first half of It's a Wonderful Life in here. Huh, how does it end? Now I'll never know. You know, Clarence, that's not a bad handle. I am something of a guardian angel.
When you step out of the room, Clarence begins his second step in full host possession by choosing a name for himself. He names himself Clarence from the guardian angel named Clarence Oddbody in the 1946 film It's a Wonderful Life. When you walk to the library door, you need a hand and an eye scan to gain access. One of the places you need to go is the machine room, but it's clouded with toxic gas. We'll come back here later. One of the other places you need to go is the infirmary, but it's locked. Make sure you inspect the door for the code. You'll need it later. In the locked room, there's another artifact underneath the bench. Grab it if you want to see the secret files. At the end of the room is a display with the building's history behind it. Break the glass and grab the document. The document serves as an introductory for the Archaic employees in the history of the Archaic cast, saying that the group was founded by Francesco Melzi, Leonardo da Vinci's favorite student. The goal of the group is to locate, understand, and protect Xeno evidence and life forms. The last mistake they'll ever make. When you enter the computer room, most of the room is badly damaged, probably due to the outbreak of the infection and chaos. The power is hanging by a thread, so you'll need to fix it later. There's a book about fixing computer interfaces, so you'll need that for later, obviously. The room to the right is the server room and is very clean and untouched by the outbreak. There's a computer on the desk that is broken beyond repair. Either it exploded during the outbreak or someone else destroyed it, trying to erase that Greenland Eskimo BDSM that was very hard to come by in 2001. Such a shame. When you get into the hard drive room, when you look up, the base level is still underground, and this is probably a geothermal cave system. All the hard drives that power the facility are burned to a crisp, and you'll need to find new ones later on. The power is still on, possibly due to our emergency reserve power that will run out. When you try to open the door in the left hall, Dr. Emmons talks to you and fills you in on what's happening to him. He realizes that Annabelle doesn't trust him anymore because of the oncoming infection, and is already starting to cognitively destroy him. He will offer to help you escape while locking himself in a room, trying to avoid from hurting anyone. Clarence talks to you again, but he's still trying to grasp the meaning between hive mind and host possession at the moment.
I remember why you're here. Dr. Swanson has filled me in. I recall every single syllable of our conversation. There was ever so slight an inflection in her tone that suggested she no longer trusted me. Why ever dinosaur extinction 65 million years ago, would she think that? We share the same history. You and I are history. I recall the day of my birth, 18th of September, 1964, 3.46993412, recurring minutes past 9. I remember my mother looking surprised as I poked my head out into the world for the first time. You need a security registered palm. Something I can provide. You need it at the library. Something beyond my reach. When I became infected by those mindless zombies, I split off from the others and secured myself here. I cannot leave. Nonetheless, you will need a hand. I will not. Bring me a saw. I recall seeing one on my first day here. 3 years ago, climate change of 10 degrees over the past 1 million years. Walk east and take the first door on your right.
There are others. He's like you, like us, yet he is not us. Why is he separate and yet we are bound together? Are we truly a we, or are we simply an I with two faces? But I am no monkey.
When you get to the armory to get the saw, Clarence sends an infected after you to try to quicken the possession.
There's just something about a rusty saw that just makes me purr. Had a tetanus jab recently?
The same thing is about to happen by the storage room. When you enter the storage room, follow this pattern to get past the lasers. When you walk to the middle of the room, Clarence will stop you and make you look at the box while experimenting with your body for possession. There's also another artifact on top of the shelf.
Look here. It seems, yeah, the visual cortex of this monkey is certainly of a simplistic design. If I can just... There, you see? It's like molding clay. Hate to interrupt you while you're showing off your logical problem solving. Let me put it more simply. You see what I want you to see. Well, it won't work if you move around, will it? You can't look up the magician's sleeve.
When you get over the weighted plate and shipping container, don't question why it's there. You'll see another artifact and document on how to control the turn gate during infection. The document was requested by Frisk, possibly due to him being infected at the time and wanting to be rid of it. There's a fact that states that Howard knew of the effects and the dangers of the virus, despite being ignored until the worst happened. There's a theory on how the Turngate intend to keep their host alive wherever way possible, and that suicide is always prevented, saying that it's against the rules, with the infection gaining control of many motor functions and sensory faculties in the brain, rendering the host to become insane. Many of the theories and facts add up to what is happening to Philip. Another theory suggests that the host and the virus are sharing memories with each other, but it may be a false theory. Clarence gets extremely nervous and resistant against the Turngate's decision for him to possess a human and begs to return. He then reflects on the effects of what went on with Red the first time.
I'm not you. I'm part of something larger. We are nothing. We are a mistake. I need to rejoin them. Release me. Let me out. This is not right. I should be with them. I am them. There should be no I. Yet, this is not the first time. Another was infected. Red. He so wanted to, but we would not let him die. Did he call us a disease?
When you enter a room filled with gas, you see a man on the floor with his entire body melted with a highly acidic gas. My theory suggests that with the page just meters away from his body, it looks like he killed himself trying to be rid of the virus, and he'd turn on the lasers to prevent his body from escaping, but the gas had failed. When you clear the gas, you hear a very familiar tune, and when you look out the window, you can hardly see it, but there's a spider egg on the shelf now. When you get closer to it, it explodes and the spider chases after you. It didn't chase after me, because the AI f***ed up when I moved away from it. Clarence laughs his ass off after he pranks you, but he gets agitated when you don't find it funny.
That is the most fun I've had in my entire life! Which isn't saying much.
More desperate to get back to the hive, Clarence calls the infected zombie to kill you and free him.
Yeah! Feast on him, brother! Free us both!
With the gas mask in hands, you can now enter the machine room. In the machine room, there's a lot going on, and there's a metal door that you must go through. When you go through it, open it to regulate the pressure and lock the valve to shut off the gas leak before you go back. When you enter the sealed off power room, there's a dead man on the floor. If you were paying attention earlier, the man has taken every precaution to trap himself in the swallowed cyanide capsule to be rid of the infection. If you look closely at his face, it looks like fictional game's favorite porn star, H.P. Lovecraft.
Let me guess. That was an important corpse.
When you attempt to remove his hand with the saw, the metal grate collapses and the body falls into the pit onto the worm. Clarence comments on it and the worm fully awakens to trap you inside the room. This is officially the first boss battle in the Frictional Games game. The worm tracks you by your position, by whichever wall you're standing towards, and it will burst through the wall or the ceiling to eat you. You have to get it to the wall with the large power cord. Once the cord is snapped, flip the switch and electrocute the worm. It regurgitates a severed hand before it dies. You'll never see this worm again, aside from Requiem for a moment.
It's not too late to just slam your head against the wall until you pass out, you know. It might be easier than carrying on. You know, the one thing that keeps me going is that when I finally work out how to end all this, you're coming with me.
When you step outside the machine room, Clarence makes a remark about the hand in your bag, and shortly after you see a dead man leaned against the wall. No, this isn't the same man that got eaten by the worm. That's not possible. This man, by looks of it, has been attacked by the Turngate infected, seeing all the blood around him. This is not a hallucination because he'll still be there after you come back one last time.
If I were you, I'd envy him. If I were me, I'd envy him as well. How do you commit suicide when you got no heart to stop, no hands to wield a chainsaw?
When you go to the computer room to give the saw to Dr. Eminus, it doesn't matter if you got in the hand before or after. He'll start to use it on his hand, but it's too late. The transformation begins and the facility's reserve power starts to go out.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
My congratulations. Honestly, I mean it. Well done. I was only joking about the come get 'em thing. What say we celebrate with some nice, relaxing cyanide, huh? I'm sure I saw some anthrax lying around as well.
I think the transformations cause a series of electromagnetic pulses around the area, causing the machines to malfunction and the power to black out each time. He then either saws off a piece of his brain or all the skin around his body, balls it up and throws it out the window before breaking down the door to kill you. Clarence once again calls him to come kill you for another attempt at being free. But you have to lead him down towards the server room so you can trap him in there. Clarence then applauds you for surviving the attack again, but tempts you to kill yourself in more attempts to free him. After a bit, when you walk up to the now locked door, Dr. Eminus will start banging on the door again and Clarence suggests that you let him out, but you can't.
You know, I think he's calmed down now. Perhaps all he wants is a hug. Why not let him out?
For this part, this is where the computer book comes in handy. You need it to restore power to the facility before the reserve power runs out. Each of the cards needs certain programs to be accepted. It can be a little tough to remember, so watch what I do. When you get to the second card, Clarence gets very annoyed about how complex the whole thing is, and it drives him crazy because he doesn't understand computer technology at all.
Human life is so banal. Is it always as monotone as this? I can't stand it. Let me out.
After you turn the power back on, you're still unable to let Dr. Eminence out of the room. Probably for the best. After you go inside the room where Dr. Eminence had locked himself in, the computer works again and has much valuable information in store. In the current operations folder, there's a picture of the wire cave from Penumbra Overture, and a picture of the infamous Turngat tomb, located half a mile below the mining facility. Though you never actually see the tomb apart from the picture, you are inside of it at the first level in Requiem, and you can discover it and explore the whole tomb in Penumbra Necrologue. The text about the tomb explained that the goal of the Archaic was to uncover and understand the tomb and its contents. The project went underway for 25 years before it was discovered on March 3, 2001. The findings were mostly ascribed to ancient text on the foundations of the tomb. Howard had done some translating, and it appears that the tomb was once home to an ancient organism and that it was quarantined, meaning that it was kept away from other living things. But for what reason? Shortly after, Howard recommends immediate suspension of the excavation for the fear of unforeseen consequences that the cast later came to regret, and the overseer Wilbur Frisk continued with the excavation despite Howard's warning. The next text document tells of the water cave we visited from the mines. The goal was set into play by Elof Carpenter to locate and retrieve Xeno evidence and life forms in support of the excavation of the Turngat tomb. On December 8, 1991, Substance 63 was found and confirmed to be the material used of the Persona TARDIS artifacts that were found throughout the entire site, and the material was otherworldly and not to the periodic table. A month later, another Persona TARDIS was found. Other reports were of casualties in the project, speculation of a saboteur, where the cause of the machine malfunctions, killing 2 workers, and a theft of radio equipment. Many other workers had critical physical and mental conditions due to the hostile spiders that lived in the caves. They also theorized that Tom Redwood was still within the mining facility and may have been responsible for the fatalities. Clarence then confirms that the saboteur was Red. The last text document tells of the archaic surface site. The cast caught wind of the activity in the Northwestern Mining Company suffering from a large industrial explosion, along with reports of strange animal activity and the increase of suicides. They were aware that Tom Redwood may have been behind the explosions before the archaic cast had set up base. They were able to quell suspicions of their activity from the locals as they moved in with the ships to their new base. For high-level security, all documentation concerning the facility was destroyed upon construction. All who knew of the facility's existence never leave, and the station is hidden from the public. The findings apart from the Persona TARDIS talked about the Phoenix Specialists, also known as the little statues that you find scattered around the place, that hold little value to the cast, but the lower cast seems to like collecting them. There are 10 in all.
As constantly entertaining as it might seem to have access to memories one has no recollection of receiving, it also places me in somewhat of a predicament. This saboteur, for some reason, he conjures in my mind the color red.
The folder about international archaic sites is corrupted, but underneath that is a security override for the locked infirmary door that we'll visit next time.
Residential. The archaic asks that viral biologists do not take their work home with them.
When you go inside the infirmary, if you turn around and look up, there's another artifact on the AC unit. If you walk for a bit, you'll hear a computer call. Go inside the medicine room and Annabelle will be online. The room itself looks very familiar to the room that you see in the beginning of the game. It's not the same room though. Annabelle explains that the Persona TARDIS, that are also known as save stations in the game, that they are still not sure what their purpose is, and that it's best to stay away from them. She also says that she's trapped somewhere in the facility. Claren then ejects Annabelle and tells Philip that those artifacts are completely safe.
Oh no, that's hardly true. They're really completely harmless. Go on, it's just like wrapping yourself up in a warm blanket.
The patient report is corrupt, but the chemical tests give light to the next puzzle. They were testing various drugs to monkeys and saying that the Visai Somnus is a success, and there's a jar of it behind you. With the body shapes and the x-rays, it appears that they were running tests on infected people, and the spots were found in the process of complete body transformation. The X-ray on the left, however, was taken on December 11th, 2000. As the excavation was made a few months later, it looks like the Turnitin virus was spreading before the tomb was found. Clarence gets annoyed on how much you know in your mind and gets rid of the periodic table to feel more at home. There's a book on cryostasis in which people are frozen to be preserved for later use or revival. Only critically injured or dead personnel get such treatment, and no one else is allowed in, except the use of the heart rate wristband and a low heart rate. To get the Visa Somnus, you had to break open the cabinet and grab it. There's some medical articles about DNA structure and polio vaccine, but it's not important. There's a wristband on the chair, grab it and put it on. There's a Mediscan in the room, and putting your hand in the severed hand has different effects. If you were paying attention earlier, you'll know how to get into the cryogenic room.
Right, stop!
No, I'm not! I'm fucking
But what if I can't?
You're right! Bring it
Damn it! For a moment there, I really thought that might have been curtains.
Clarence was excited about you dying, but then gets mad when you're still alive. When you're in the chamber, there are a few other capsules that are full, but the one you want is the head. Not sure why they kept the head frozen, but... Walt Disney! When you go to the library, the door isn't there anymore.
How peculiar. I could have sworn we remembered there being a door here before. How queer. What's in that direction? Oh, silly old me. I haven't got any hands to point with, have I? No, not that way. You sure you know where we're going? Didn't we pass the door just back there? You see? You silly Billy. It was here all along. Would you like Uncle Clarence to take the steering wheel for a while? You should see your face. This is actually gonna be fun. Perhaps I won't get you killed after all.
If you saw what happened earlier, you know that Clarence is gaining more control of your senses and decides not to kill you for finding amusement of scaring you. This is Troll Force, and I'll see all you peeps next time. Don't forget to like, comment, share, turn on the bell notification, and subscribe for more videos.